Oh my gosh. Today is the day. But I'm here. So that's something, and you're here. A couple of you. Hi, Stick Shift. Hi, Venturific. Hi, Mostly Lurking Stick Shift. By the way, I forgot to say that Mostly Lurking part. Hi, Discordia. Oh, I meant to do that as like a smooth transition. That was not a smooth transition. That was just me busting right into here. I feel incredibly bright. This is too, if I turn this off, is that going to help, or is it the window? It's the window. Hang on. Let me adjust my shades here, because I feel like that's a little too much coming on this side of my face. Oh, I just said that out loud. There's two of me. Oh, there is two of me. Let me. Boop. There you go. Now there's one of me. Also, I can move myself back over because I don't have a status thing I'm trying to cover up. Hey, Deebs. Hey, Albino. How are you doing? The fire breath dragon worm thing is metal as heck, and I love it. Thank you, Venturific. It's such a, I love the, I call it the like 2004 or like 2001 graphics card box art style, where it's this like really high resolution, high detail, low texture art style that was cutting edge in, you know, 2000, whenever it came out, like early 2000s, late 90s. So they put on graphics card box arts. Some program that a lot of people use gives you access to something that's like that, and they just make so much royalty-free image that is delightfully cheesy, and I love it. Wait, what about using emergency rations? We could have used what? Oh, we could have used one of you as a, like one of the Jessies. Got it. Yeah. Well, nope. The other Jessie's gone. It's just me. You can't eat me. I got it. I picked up. Definitely give me two PS2 vibes. Yeah. Oh, you know what I'm not doing is playing music. And I definitely need some lo-fi to calm the old nerves. So, if I can't find it on Pretzel today, I'll gamble on YouTube and see how that goes. Unless they have Electro Swing back, in which case we're absolutely going that. Funk, surprise me, indie, lo-fi, synthwave. Uh-oh. Oh, I hear a big old thump. Hey, that's Honey Money and Crowd. Hey, Honey Money and Crowd. How are you all doing? Oh, this is nice. If this gets too loud, let me know. Rat Beach, Honey Bunnies, Stormwork, Megami. I haven't seen you in a minute. Hey, Megami. Italian. Hey, everybody. Hey, Jesse, what's going on here? I just saw you were live. Just clicked highly confused. I am doing RPG Help Desk, which is where I just make RPG stuff. Usually we get off topic because somebody asks me an RPG related question, but I try to have a topic. Today we're building a 1-page lore on a nation that is made up of floating islands. And turn it down just a bit for me. That's going to be quieter for you too, so let me know if that's too low. So, and like what makes them enjoyable, what makes them unique, how can players interact with them, stuff like that. But every Wednesday at this time, except for the times that I don't stream, but whatever, we're just gonna say every Wednesday at this time I stream RPG Help Desk. So if you enjoy it, there's more every week. And there's also past ones that you can watch the VODs of. And if you don't enjoy it, then tell other people about how much you hate it, and maybe they'll like it. Do we find out about you? I am mostly good, I guess. I'm just still generally frazzled, but not frazzled enough to not do this today. So here I am. Rock you like a hurricane. Ba-da-da, ba-da-da, ba-da-da. Doesn't sound like my kind of thing, but I'll say for the synthwave. Mondays and Tuesdays, I also just stream video games. I was playing Golden Light yesterday, and it was very spooky and real weird and very fun. So I just play games. Sometimes I like them, sometimes I don't, and then I stop playing them. But either way, you're welcome to stay and hang out. Do you play tabletop RPGs, Stormwork? Hey, Shada. Hong Kong. Hong Kong. To you, too. Getting ready to steer the conversation into something totally unrelated. Oh, I'm so ready. I can't wait, Rat Beach. No, barely play board games as is. I can't. Hang on. Let me... If you want to talk about board games, now's not the best time, but I also play those. Couch? Why are you screaming couch? I've been highly interested in getting into tabletop RPGs again lately. Ah, yeah. As you should. They're the best. I love tabletops. So good. Is this like the teeth thing? Where everybody just shouts the word? I'm assuming this is like the teeth thing. Okay, I am not... That's not a bad song, but we're just gonna skip that one. I'm not feeling that one. There's a genre called yacht rock, and I don't want to hear it. The word couch no longer has meaning. I do have one board game which I play solo, and do open it up from time to time. Oh, what's the game? Some solo games are really fun. Not getting involved. You don't want to shout teeth or couch? Need to look up the English name. Ooh, it's not English. That makes it even more intriguing. Three Tail? I have not heard of Three Tail. I'm gonna put it up in a tab so I can find it later. Thank you. Much appreciated. Oh, I forgot. It's Double Jesse again. I was going to move this down here so when I bring it up, it won't be in the way. No, thank you. I'm holding back a derailing comment, and it's taking most of my mental forces. Look, I bring up stuff because I don't want to be up here with a big old nothing in my hand and be like, well, I guess we have nothing today. So, like, this time is for anything RPG related. If it's floating islands, that's what's structured. But if you've got something that you're like, I need to talk about this, Rat Beach, Discordia, anybody, I do this. I worked on this on my own. Like, this is just me on my own working on it. So, like, I'm doing this anyway. I do the live part, so that way if people have something they want to talk about, they can talk about it. And if not, I've got this. I'm mirrored. It's hard to know which way I point that I'm going to go. I don't have a plan for the derailing. I just get hung up on tangents that arise. That's funny. Discordia, it's okay if I haven't started, because if I haven't started, that just means if we reach a conclusion to your question, then we can get to floating islands. So like that's fine. Are we being derailed by a conversation on derailing? Yes, Albino, we are. We're very meta. I liked in Minecraft a long time ago with floating islands. You made a way to the lowest one. How did you get on floating islands in Minecraft? I know nothing about Minecraft. I've been watching Castlevania and I can't get over how gorgeous the fractal floating scrying portal mirrors are. Right? They look so good. What is this, like, contemporary church music that's playing? That is not synthwave and I don't want it. Is this tabletop or TOFT and Bioshock Infinite count? I'm not sure what TOFT is. But yeah, hey Cheshire. How you doing, Cheshire? I talk about like tabletop RPGs. I mean, if there's something related to Bioshock in tabletop RPGs, then today's a good top, we talk about it like, oh, how would you do the Skyrail system in a game? But like, mostly just, oh, Tears of the Kingdom, got it. Yeah, so tabletop. What was that noise? Oh. Skylally Faye, thanks for following. Also, Seawalt62, Neo Solaris, Han 1010, Bjornjon, you all followed yesterday after the shout out on Second Wind. Thank you. You're probably not here, but I'm going to say it anyway. When I was thinking about floating islands, I was thinking about fragments of the broken planet. I'm wondering, how are you envisioning them? Envisioning the floating islands? So here's what I wrote. And I will summarize. Would they chain these islands together so they don't drift off? McNancy. Also, hi again, McNancy. That is an important thing I brought up in this that we can definitely talk about. Jesse on stream chat is hard to read. White on gray. Yeah, let me add a thing. I don't think I could change the background color, but I can add a new element. I think I can just add a solid color source. Yes, I can. Okay, let me do that. Yep, there it is. Perfect. So that you can better see it. I have it set to that. And there's an easier way to do this, but I forget what it is. So this is the fast way. There we go. It's not pretty, but it works. Like me. Oh. Okay, there you go. Okay, so here's my thought on no, they do not chain them together. They cannot chain them together. Here's my thought. So I like having, and this is what I wrote in here, you have a nation that is made up of multiple islands. You have one island in the center that is the largest, and that has like a waterfall, like it has the largest water supply, it has the big waterfall, like the very gorgeous looking thing. Then the other islands actually orbit around that center island. So all of these other islands are constantly in motion. Slow. Like, they're moving very slow. You're not really going to see them go. Like, oh, there they go. They're moving very slow. But they do orbit around it. And not only do they orbit on the x-axis, they all also change their y-axis. So you have islands that will pass each other like this as they go around. Smaller islands orbit. Yes. So yes, smaller islands orbit like little planets. Sometimes they get close enough where it's like maybe you could, like a few times where you could jump to one if you're very spry, but most of the time you would need some sort of assistance to get across. Is there a world below? Yes. This would be like our world where you have, you know, ground and gravity and all that, but these islands float. Also, another thing about these islands, which currently are named Cyvol, because that's just the name I have, the nation of Cyvol, where all these islands are of. They do not stay stationary. They actually move around the planet, not in a, like, circumference. Like, they don't follow a line like the equator around it, but they would kind of follow, like, a weird track above it. So it would be like they go through East Coast North America, up around Canada, over the ocean, down Japan, back over the ocean, across to Brazil, then back up to the East Coast. So, like, they wouldn't circle the world. They just have a weird path around it, and they follow that path. So those are all things that I was thinking about and wrote about with these particular islands. Now I have to catch up on chat. So you cannot chain them together. That was one thing someone asked, because they're constantly moving. So you'd break whatever thing that you have putting them together. You could do temporary things, like you can shoot a little thing, make a zip line, and then undo it and pull it back. Flying from island to island is good. Having some sort of gliding thing can work. And then also, because they're floating islands, you're dealing with a less, like, you're in the clouds high. So you have a thinner atmosphere. So how does that affect the flora and fauna? How does that affect the people that live there? Like, those are all things that I'm touching on in here and that I would love to talk more about. But, okay. How do they float? That I don't have an answer to. And I don't think I want one. They just do float. I think it's a good question, Tyrell. Sometimes I'm like, they just do. So there is a world below. What value does this region have leads to people settling in it? That's a great question, McNancy. I would think the seclusion would be a big part of it. That you can be in a world, hey Penta, where you have, you know, like warring nations below you, but like you're fairly safe up in the skies. Also, a really good spot for folk that have wings. So like harpies, or if you're a djinn and you fly, or any other flying person, or a person that has glide, so kind of like dragon folk kind of thing. Like, that could also be a very appealing thing, because you could just fly. Similar idea, but inside an egg. Ooh. So what value does the region have for people settling it? Yeah, so that would be my initial thought. Now, that would be like the why settle it initially. Now I feel like it has... I didn't get in too much into that. So, like, I'm thinking what they would have for, like, exports and stuff. All right. How big are the islands? I don't have dimensions for them. I try to use vague terminology. So, like, the middle one's the biggest. And, like, there are smaller ones. And then there are, like, smaller ones that are named. Like, I have down here, there's, Tolbane, which is a island that's mostly occupied by a mountain range. Kawawin, which is, like, a more open area, so it's, like, the bear hunting grounds and stuff like that. Not a lot of people live there. And then there would be, I mentioned in here, there are, like, the ones that are big enough to have names, and then there's smaller ones that are, like, fragmented pieces, which could be as small as, like, having a house with a little farm, and that's the whole island, and then, like, having one that can, like, house, you know, maybe 50 people. So there are smaller fragments as well of these little floating islands. Are the islands pattern, regular, or random? Public transit. Oh, public transit. Probably no public transit, I'm going to say. But a level of, like, All right, do you have your glider? Do you have your hook shot or whatever you use to get around? Do you have your pterodactyl pet? You know, like something like that. So a little more self-sufficient if you're going to be going around to different islands. So they must have a guy whose job it is to track the trajectory of the island to plan temporary transportation structures. Absolutely, like it's like a ferryman at the river, but they have an Excel sheet of, well, this island's coming this way. Oh, you got to go to this place. Okay, well, what day is it? Ah, they're going to be over that way. So it would be some sort of like structured orbit, which also means you don't want to tie things to each other because you don't want to knock that orbit off. People similar to a Sherpa in terms of use oxygen. Oh, that could work. Hey, Pet Pumpkin. Yeah. People manage the trains. No trains, but like, yeah, that sort of thing where it's like you have a person who's like runs the service of, yes, my rock will fly you. My griffin can fly you. Here's where the island you are going currently is. Maybe they can't go back to the surface. The air is too thick. Maybe a heavy gas. Oh, sits at the surface. Albino for like you mean for the islands themselves? People down below can't afford travel up there. Ideal for utopia, like a movie Elysium. That could work. I don't want to make it too like dystopian-y. In fact, one of the like issues I have, because I always try to make like, well, what's the current problem with the place that I'm writing about, and that it's industrializing nations are clouding the skies with pollution. So in their trajectory around the world, they now have pockets that are kind of poisonous to them. And like, what can they do about that? Curious as to the size. Do they affect tides? What about ecosystems? Animals could be hidden on the underside of the islands. Ooh, animals on the underside of the island. Hang on, that's really good. Because I have a whole thing about thing. There is some level of underground, but it would be really cool to have like bats and creatures that actually hang on the literal underside of the island. That would be super cool. What happens when the islands go through thunderstorm? So that's a thing that I wrote about, was like, you're in the sky. Like, high winds are kind of a constant thing. There's no land to break up that high wind. Like, there's some of them that have like mountains and stuff, but mostly it's just cutting through. So things like using light metals for furniture and magnets, so you can like pick up a chair and put it down, but then it won't blow away. And then also tying things down and like using things that are more sturdy. How does it affect migration patterns? I don't want to get into that unless it's like a specific thing, but I would love that idea because I also feel like it could work as a fun, like, safe resting place for like migrating birds, where they don't have the predators, the same predators as the land. So are they isolationists? Why is that? What leads to a culture that writes off the surface world? I don't want to make them complete isolationists. I feel like I've written a few of those, a little bit of those already, and I want to keep this as like they have active negotiations with the places that they go as they orbit and as they go around the world. Where it's like, oh, in 6 months we're going to be passing over, you know, Pasadena, so they got the good whatever. Let's trade with them for that. We know they usually need water because there's a drought. So we went through some really thick clouds and have an excess of water. We can trade some extra of that. Or people settle their defensibility. Yeah, very defensible. People use giant birds to travel around like Skyward Sword. Absolutely. So giant birds, your griffins, your pterodactyls, your flying squids, whatever kind of fantasy creature you want. Absolutely. If it could hold people weight, it would make a good pet. I hear you, Cheshire. I miss most of Amy's streams too. I saw a super low budget movie with floating islands like 10 years ago. It was called Avatar or something, like blue people. Stick shift. Like Skyward Sword, but with one more island. Kinda. Yeah, so like very much a I haven't played Skyward Sword, but yeah, that's sort of like you have the ability. I think you jump from island to island in that and use those big weird birds. They're spoonbills? Is this high fantasy? Or is there airships and stuff? High fantasy. So some level of like some sort of airships, but like more dirigible or like magic based airship versus like plane. Why are people on the islands instead of the surface? Hang on one second. People use giant birds. Got it. General technology level. Basic fantasy, which I hate that phrase, but like I don't have a better term for it. Like it's mostly medieval style stuff, but with magic in it, so you can have some extra fun stuff. Sounds like a cool world. Thank you. I'm trying to... Thank you, Ventrific. I make a series of these where it's like one page of like, here's a place in the world, and you put them all together and you have a whole world. And so it's like an easy way to get into the lore of a place. Hey, Blight. How are you doing? But yeah, general technology level is like... Yeah, medievalish fantasy, and then magic to like spice it up with your scrying stones and your lightning whatevers. I try to stay a little vague because the ultimate point of this is to, you know, release it as a product, and people will have varying levels of technology in their games. So I try to leave wiggle room for like, okay, if you had true airships, they could work here. If you don't have true airships, you're like, technology is... We don't have any of that. Then this would, you know, you could still make it work. It's still like, well, you use birds. Why are people on the surface? I mean, because it's space. Like, it's not space like out there space, but like space like available space. Like, I need a place to live. That's a place to live. What's the current thing we're talking about? We're talking about floating islands. Are you creating lore for something in particular or just for the funds? It is for the funds, but it is ultimately... I made the book One Page Lore Fantasy Folk, which is taking like 25 of the fantasy folk. So like your orcs, your elves, your tree people, your mushroom people, the Takaria, your harpies, your djinn, all that, and giving them like a page of lore apiece. So that if someone's like, I want to play a lizard folk, it's like, oh, here's a thing that you can very quickly and easily read and then have a base understanding of them. And that one specifically designed to take away like racial coding, racial stereotypes, and like social restrictions to folk. So no one is born evil, but focuses on the biological things. So like, what makes a lizard folk different from a human, or an orc different from a halfling? So it was really fun to write. So the same idea is for this, where you have a bunch of locations in the world, and if you read the whole thing, you would basically know like the major parts of the world. So it's for fun and profit, I guess, is the answer. Do the inhabitants have better rungs? That's something we could work on, because you have people that are dealing with a low oxygen environment. Sunlight is much stronger up there. Fungus Finder, you are absolutely right. That was the thing looking it up, was like the amount of like radiation you'll take on is higher. You have less things to barrier you. Like, you don't have the same kind of like shade and like stuff that we have down here. So yeah, radiation levels from the sunlight is way stronger. And that is something that you'd absolutely have to take into account. I mentioned that a little bit in here. But yeah, that's absolutely a thing. And I'd kind of like to play into like, all right, how does that change people who live there? Like, both biologically, like their pigmentation would over time change. Or not pigmentation, but like their skin over time would change to be more absorbing of it, or something would happen. And how does it work societally? Big sun hats, very in fashion all the time. Like that sort of stuff. Let's see. Was that not on your Zelda game list? Skyward Sword is very good art-wise. It's one that I kind of want to play. It looks really cool. I've only heard mostly negative things about it, though. Sounds like a cool world. Thank you. Thanks, Venturific. And it would just be a part of the world. So, like, this is one nation of the world. All these floating islands are together to make, like, a nation of Cybele. But I'll probably change that name. Do these islands stay in place like real islands, or do they drift? If they drift, what happens if they collide? There's a large central island. Hi, Kama Ninja. There's a large central island. All the other islands kind of orbit around it and will like change altitude a little bit as well. Collisions are uncommon. Like less common than earthquakes. But sometimes they bump into each other. But it's very rare. So they can move and interact, but now what happens if they collide? Yeah, I would think like there would be a natural level of, as they start getting closer, they would slow down and start to push away from each other. So something within their orbit mostly keeps them from running into each other. Unless people start doing things to disrupt that. So what would likely cause adventure parties to show up here? That I don't have a thing for. This is just about the place. The idea being, like, if you make the place interesting, that, like, there might be something in that the adventure party was going for. But I don't have a, like, here's 5 adventures people could have here. But I want to have it stable enough so when the GM goes, I need a place for people to go. Ooh, these floating islands are cool. I'll make them there. Let me read up on these so I can put some fun stuff in there. Or when players are making a character and they're like, where am I from in this world? They can look at this list of places and go, floating islands? What is that place like? And then they can read one page about it because time is precious and I don't want to waste people's time. And they go, wow, that's a cool thing. I'm going to make my person from there. And these are the ways that they are going to... they're going to change, or this is the way I'm going to build them because of the environment and the social place that they were in. If that makes sense. I was also curious how it affects the ecosystem below. Tides. Does this cause a problem with the world below? Must be political tension, assuming the level of civilization is high enough. The level of civilization would be high enough, Megami, definitely. I'm thinking... I wouldn't say it's strong enough to like really affect tides, because that is a lot of minutia that probably a lot of people won't care about unless it's directly tied to something important in the world. Which if it's like a really cool idea, then it's like, well, now I have to write about it affecting tides because that's the impetus for this other thing. So yeah, the level of civilization. And then the political tensions, yeah, so there would be political tensions of, like, they're going to float over, like, it has a set path it's going over. So they cannot control that. And, yeah, they might have tension, like, oh, man, we're flying over Austin, Texas, and, like, we have really not gotten along with Austin, Texas for, like, 2 decades now, and tensions are getting high. But, like, we can't not fly over them. We can't reroute the islands. It's gonna fly over them. So, yeah, you could have some fun stuff with that. which is part of what I did in here. So, like, industrialized nations are polluting the skies that they're specifically flying through. Now it's like, you guys got to calm down on your burning of stuff, because we are now in a poisonous cloud when we fly above your city. How does that affect relations? That's a bit off topic, but the coolest island is Xenochronicles 2, where the continents are these titanic animals moseying around the world. Oh, that's cool. One of the whales, where the city is such inside, is down in water for periods. Yeah, that's super cool. Xenochronicles, I'm not sure I want to play it, but I want to learn about it. Tide goes in, tide goes out. All thanks to gods. Why would orbiting masses have any effect on tides? I have the vision of a common center in the holographic illusionary representation of the island's clouds, including hazardous ones. Ooh, that would be cool. Oh, you know me, I have plenty of thoughts, ideas about floating islands. You're welcome to share them, Blight. I'm quite saying this is fun, nice. If vampires visit the area, would they be screwed? That's a lot of direct sunlight. Yeah, they would really need to hunker down during the daylight hours. Although, if it's a vampire that is fine in cloud cover, then if they're going through a cloudy area, they would be super fine, because they're like in clouds. But that's another thing, is if you're going through clouds, you're dealing with mist that's like, I can see about this far in front of me. Sounds really cool. I like that you approach it from biological level. Yeah, absolutely. And that was the thing that I wanted to write more about too, is like the flora and fauna, and like, okay, there was I was watching the PBS Eons, and they were talking about how, or it was SciShow, it was one of those, and they're talking about how the geckos in a specific area have evolved within our observational lifetime because of the increase in hurricanes. They've developed where most of them have larger like front feet now, specifically so they can hold on better when high winds come. So things like that would be like, okay, you have high winds, low oxygen environment, high sunlight, high radiation. How does that affect these squirrels that have made their home in here? They would probably evolve more along the lines of like flying squirrels, where they can glide between stuff. How would that affect the lizards and the reptiles and the birds and the whatever that have made a home here? The invasive species, the native species. I think that is all really fun. Hey, Orbiting Peanut. I assume bird folk would inhabit the islands. It would be very easy for, yeah, like flying folk. So your bird folk, your harpies, to make a home here, because what's freaking flying from one island to the other? Why would you walk anyway? This is making it easier. So yes, my thought being the original, like, founders of this place wouldn't be flying, but I like a world that has a lot of interconnectivity. So it's not about who originally founded it, but just who's living there now. And yes, I do think that it would be a very appealing place for folk that can fly. Bio rocks. Deep says the Skyward Sword remaster on Switch supposedly removes most of the issues people have with the game, but I only watched Marty play bits and pieces of that. The original was a really good game that tried its hardest every step of the way to annoy me into quitting. Nice. That's good to know. Did Marty like it? Or did he play it out of like, he's like, I'm a Zelda fan, so I have to play it. What invasive plants have colonized one or more of the islands nations trying to eradicate? Ooh, I like that idea. Invasive. That's not how you spell species. My thought being, probably a good invasive species of plant. I'm just going to put shade givers as my note. Excuse me, but a good invasive species of plant would be one that was very large and creates a lot of shade. Because my thought being, you have a place that has very much a lot of direct, powerful sun. And the plants would be like, oh, we love being fried by the sun. We've developed a way to be okay with this. That's what we crave. We crave a lot of direct sunlight. So an invasive species maybe would be like an elephant ear plant, where it's like you have a little plant, but then it has these huge ass leaves, and it's casting too much shade on things that need a lot of direct sun. So things like that would make a good invasive plant. But I'm open to other things too. On the collision of small islands can be way they are mined. Ooh, Kuri, that's a good idea. One of the sky islands is just completely overrun with piranha plants. Oh, it's all piranha plants. Time dropping boulder on them. Hey, three-eyed Cyclops. We're flying over Texas, sighs while loading a gun. Vampires need love too. They do, Penta. They do. Blight says, here's an idea for you. If the islands are above the clouds, well, they're like above some clouds, under some clouds. They're like mixed in with the clouds. So sometimes above clouds, sometimes in clouds. But if the islands are above the clouds, then where are the people getting their water? Perhaps something they replaced it has caused unique features, traits, abilities that have identified natives of the sky. Could also be a way they don't come down. Air pressure, none of the water they need. My thought being that, like, for how they were getting water, because that was the main thing, because I love the visual of the waterfall coming off of a floating island, but also, what the heck, why do they have water? My thought being, you have, you're in the clouds, so like, kind of we have, you know, water gets evaporated and then goes in the clouds and then it rains down. When you're moving through clouds, they are going to be absorbing like an incredibly large amount of water as they pass through these clouds. And then there are times when they are flying over the ocean and they are in that, you know, environment where there's more evaporation happening because you're just surrounded by water. There's no land. And so you have, that's like your time to refill the reservoirs even more. So that's my thought on why they have, on how they have water. And that like the waterfall that's falling isn't like 20 billion gallons per minute, like, boo! You know, like, it's a wide waterfall, but not necessarily a thick one. Like, the lip for it to go over is small, so while water falls, it's like, you know, it's a little bit of water. It's not a Niagara Falls. That's my thought. So they're not losing... They're losing less water than it appears, despite having a waterfall. And then they're gaining a lot of water constantly from moving through clouds and being over, like, the ocean and stuff. That's my thought. Would floating islands have a set path of movement or just all over the place? They have a set path. They have a set path orbiting the center island and a set path going around the Earth, but not like around like the equator. They have like a weird path that only covers part of the Earth. Potential political issue. Sky cities are scooping up clouds for water, causing drought from lack of surface participation. Dispersing water cycle. Ooh, that is fun. They're getting greedy. They're taking too much. Gliding snakes. Heck yeah, gliding snakes. As a mention of earlier, probably when you wrote that, when I was talking about how species change. Give me a flying snake. You kidding? I love it. Love a flying snake. Marty did like the remaster. Okay. I think he played it out of obligation, but he liked it. All right, that's good to know. Because honestly, I think I'd like to try Skyward Sword. Large plant would also suck up a lot of water. Really good point. Ooh, okay. And water hungry plants. So that's a really good point, Rat Beach. Which is a thing that I was listening to on NPR, where they were talking about farmers and like the different types of plants and their water usage. So like, what was it? Almond trees, I think, take up way more water than, pistachio trees. I think it was pistachio trees take up way more water than some of the other trees that farmers were using. Like for trees of the same size, pistachio trees take more water. But there's incentive for them to do pistachios, so they do that, and they straight drill deeper wells. So yeah, like, not all plants take the same amount of water despite their size, so that's a really good idea for an invasive species, is ones that are extra water hungry. Plant people. Oh yeah, love a plant people. Plant people would be really good, for, like, yeah, some of the native population. A lot of direct sunlight. Mist condensers. Won't that destroy what's ever underneath the waterfall? Maybe someone built a house in the path of the thing. Because the thing, I would say it's sort of like building a house in the path of a river. Where it's like, every year, the floating island passes. It doesn't have to work on a yearly schedule, but like, every year, the floating island passes here. So like, this area that it passes over is going to get hit by some heavy waterfall. Heavy for like, compared to like rainfall. But also, as it falls, like, you have something that's, you know, cloud height. As that water falls, it's going to start dispersing more and more. So it's not going to hit the ground in the same, I don't think, in the same way that it fell. So like, if I'm 2,000 feet in the air and I pour a cup of water out, it starts as just a cylinder of water falling. But as it falls 2,000 feet, if I'm correct in this, it would start breaking up. It wouldn't stay. It wouldn't stay in that same shape. The wind would hit it. Probably some other things I'm not thinking of. But then it wouldn't stay exactly the same. That's my thought on, like, it's not just going to be a constant stream of, and this waterfall creates a path in the ground. People dying on the ground below it. Wasn't a question, but suggestion of a plot character to create expansion and new species in the game. Oh, no, I like it. I got you. I like that. Let's see. Waterfall could also act as a rainstorm. Yeah, so it would be, my thought being it would be more like a rainstorm, Curie. That's actually a better way to put it than what I did. One thing would be that the ground structure itself is not renewable. The growth of the civilization could accelerate erosion, fracturing, and stopping this, so they build their own foundations. Because the ground shrinks, the effective buoyancy, maybe. That's a really good point. I like can't replenish ground. That's a really good point. Yeah, so like, well, you have something that, yeah, that would make dirt a valuable commodity. Like, you dig a hole, you don't let that dirt blow away. That's good dirt. Someone will pay for that dirt, or you'll use it later. There's my note. Pistachio. I don't remember if it was pistachios or almonds or whatever, Penta. I do forget. Where do pistachios come from? Hang on. I think it's trees. I think we're on trees. Fairly certain. Yeah. They're trees. Which also, science thing. Tree is a incredibly unhelpful scientific it's a social construct, not a scientific one, because what was it, palm trees are closer to grass than they are to like a pine tree or something. Like, tree is our distinction for large plant, where these trees are incredibly different from each other. It would be like going fish, octopus, whale. Those are all fish because they're in the ocean. Like, they are incredibly different. But for ease of language, they're called trees because it's a big thing. Almonds take up a fuck ton of water. You know, it could be something nice, like depending on the island rotation, everyone holds a festival. Oh yeah, absolutely, in festivals. Like, rather than having like a lunar calendar or a solar calendar, having like a rotational calendar. Actually, that's a really cool idea. Hang on. Yeah, and like having festivals and stuff. I'm gonna write festivals. Oh, that's not how you spell calendar. Whoops. Oh, it is. It's just capital. Maybe I already mentioned it, says Megami. Their path could be changing over time slowly. And they're getting even closer to Texas. Oh my gosh, it's so much bug meat. I accept this bug meat. May you accept the bug meat you can't change, and change the bug meat you can't accept. I wasn't throwing shade. No, you're good, Penta. I didn't think you were. But yes, pistachios do grow on trees. I was also like, am I misremembering that? But no. Thanks for lurking, Grim. Also, hi, Grim. Have fun in the Shadow Realm. Playing Diablo 4 and just everything is so bleak. Bleak? Yeah. That's Diablo. If they can't replenish ground, the islands are shrinking over time. Causes strife between people in the islands. Ooh, yeah. A little bit of shrink. There's some good dirt. Culture clash for those from land. There's some dirt. But that's a thing that they could, like, their main import from the land is literally more land. Where, like, they can get cheap land. Well, but maybe they mark up, a lot of nations will mark up the price for dirt if they know it's being bought from, what I name this place that I'm going to change the name of? Cybole. That's like, oh, you're from Cybole? Oh, I'm just kidding. That dirt's not free. I'm going to charge you 10 gold per pound or whatever. This is a precious commodity. Also, making land through lava. I remember watching it in some, like, documentary in a Discovery Channel or something. They were talking about, like, how volcanoes erupt and then the, like, molten lava will reach past, you know, go past the land and then into the water, and then it'll cool very quickly, and then that will become, like, a thing, and then you just, like, I don't know. So you can do stuff with that, too. There's no such thing as a tree. If you were to break a boulder of landmass, would it float? Would that make the floating earth highly valuable? Likely a forbidden export. Ooh, that's really cool. So, like, yeah, so it's like, oh, I'm going to build a floating castle, so I need to get, 40 tons of dirt from the floating islands, but they don't sell their dirt. So you got to get it illegally. How are you going to illegally mine that dirt to sell it, too? Ooh, I like that. That's a good scheme. Actually, that's a really good scheme. We're going to go up to problems. And, I might work that in. That's a really cool idea. And even if I don't work it in, that's the kind of thing that I want. Like, one-page lore, there's so much space left that, like, it's not gonna... I can't fit everything in here. But, like, the idea of, like, if you add enough interesting factors, that someone will do exactly what McNancy did and go, well, what if someone was trying to sell the floating dirt? And be like, ooh, hook! Like, that's a cool thing. Either for the GM to use or for players to use. I was wondering how to do a calendar in a world lit by starlight, and it came to the conclusion that instead of days, they'd have constellations where their overhead was the time. Yeah, that's really cool. So it's like the third of 15 hours of Draco overhead or whatever. The idea of constellations being your sense of time is a really cool idea, Discordia. I like that a lot. Rotational calendar as we think about Snowpiercer. My partner really loves the Snowpiercer show. I have not watched much of it. So if it makes you think of that, that's probably a good thing. I want that saying as a motivational poster. Speaking of weird species lines, I recently was informed that pumpkins are indeed fruit. Blew my mind. I didn't know that. I guess that makes sense. Like, they have a hard shell and, like, seeds in the middle. I think that's, like, 90% of what fruit is. I don't know what song this is, but I'm feeling it. I want this. Can I just have more of this? This, like, almost dark wave anime sounding thing. My instinctive response would be no. If you break a piece of whatever force, whatever force is keeping the islands in the air no longer holds that piece you broke off. But I can see it going either way. Yeah, my thought being small pieces wouldn't work. But maybe like if you get a large enough piece, it might work. Also, my thought being that it's something to do with the central island that's making these pieces float. So my, like, I'm not going to put this in, but the thought being this was all actually once one very large thing that floated. Something happened and it broke off into multiple pieces. Many of those pieces fell away and hit the ground. But the center island still has something within it that is keeping the pieces that are still orbiting around it together. So that it has to do less with the outer islands and more with something at the core of the main island. Which is called Celeste. Is this the music that plays when Frank takes drugs in IASIP? I have no idea what IASIP is. Simply it squad. I don't know. Oh, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. That's probably it. I have an immortal changeling who her origin is the biblical times. Meanwhile, her husband is a Wild West cowboy Culture Clash is fun. Oh, that is pretty fun. Kuri, I really like that idea. That's a serious culture clash. That's like a couple thousand years. But yeah, so that's my thought of the outer islands aren't as valuable as the big center island. As far as like floating dirt. Jesse, we are dying to know Mortimer's secret. Well, I'm dying to know if you know what's gonna happen there, but we're all suffering together, Fungus Finder. I'm sorry. Changelings, Shapeshifter, Secret Wars, yeah. Yeah, I have in One Page Lore Fantasy Folk, I have the Formless, which is the like changeling group, shapeshifter group, that folk. They were fun to write about. And like what's a changeling like as a baby? And like that they're more of like a gray blobby bean that doesn't have like a set shape, and then as they like grow in the like in their infancy, like the first year or two, they start their shape changes into what they're looking at. So if they're left alone, they'll just be like blobs forever. But if if they're with humans, they'll start taking on the features of the humans they see, and then humanity will be easier for them to change into. If they're raised by harpies, and those are the features that they'll be able to mimic better. And so they'll be able to do, like, theoretically you could be like, ooh, I'm an orc, ooh, I'm a harpy, ooh, I'm a djinn. Like, it's real easy to change, but your base, like your native language, almost the first shape, your native shape, is who you like grew up seeing, and that you started to shape into. Shapeshifters are fun. And also that while you can shapeshift into the appearance of things, you do not gain the quality of the thing. So like you shapeshift to have big hulking muscles like a beefcake, but you're not any stronger. Or like you shapeshift to have the big huge wings of a harpy, but you can't actually fly. Oh, that's what I had for my character. She was raised by humans, but she takes certain habits from her lifespan, like purring when happy. Oh, that's adorable. I'm watching a lot of Deep Space Nine lately. Oh, be still. My beating heart. I love Deep Space Nine. That is one of the greatest things television has ever produced. A lot of changelings in Deep Space Nine. Whole planet of them. Just one big puddle. I love DS9. It's so good. Hey, Domino. Wow, it's been an hour and 45 minutes. And I've talked a lot about floating islands. And y'all have asked a lot of really awesome questions. This is fun. I love this. This is good stuff. I hope other people are enjoying it, because I am. Garrick is the best. I love Garrick. Garrick is amazing. Like, just the nuance of it, the, like, his flirtation with, like, Bashir when they first meet, and, like, his, like, ooh, like, coming in with some real bisexual energy, like, his scheming, his, like, his I don't want to be here, but like I have to be attitude. God, he is such a good character. So nuanced, so like multi-layered. Guy's so good. Really everybody in that show is good. Like I could say good things about Kira and Cisco and Quark and Odo. With Quark and Odo have possibly my favorite like relationship in television. They are so fun together. But like everybody in that show is fantastic. Like Dax is amazing. There's a lot of stuff with O'Brien that I'm not a huge fan of, but they will do specific things with him that I feel like get touched on and then like they won't touch again. Like the fact that he is a war hero. Like he did something in the Cardassian War that people are very impressed with. And like he is very uncomfortable talking about it. And like that sort of like aversion to violence he has now feels like it comes from a place of like he was really good at violence once and he did not like that, and like he was involved in a lot of violence, and then it's like, I'm an engineer. Like there's just so much to those characters. It's such good writing, such good acting, such good everything. That's I had for one of my character. Oh, okay, saw that one. I was watching DS9, blah, blah, blah. Garrick is best, yes. I'm on season 4. First time I've watched it. I'm really enjoying it so far. It's so good. I can't believe how on subject we stayed today. I know, Rat Beach. This might be a personal best for us. Been fun, Jesse, but I'm off. Good luck on everything. Bye, Pet Pumpkin. I hope you have an excellent day, and thank you very much for joining while you could. Maybe there's an ancient city a long time ago, like with a carved stone structure similar to Easter Island, and the floating aspect of the island is tied to the strange remnants of a forgotten culture buried or reclaimed by the earth. Ooh. Okay. All right. Hold on, McNancy. Wait. Let's dive into this. Hang on. Let me read up on chat. Garrick episodes with the bomb in Garrick's shop. It's a great episode. I love that episode. Be a lot of fun based on characters on him in the game. Absolutely. He's amazing. Cisco is my favorite captain. I love that he punches a god. Oh, yeah. And he's like, Picard would never punch me. And he's like, I'm not Picard. God, so good. Yeah, he decks Q. I love it. Cisco's the best captain. I agree. Even though he's a commander, I think, for most of the show, but Picard never punched Q. That was like one of the things that I feel like they did as writers to stop being compared to Next Generation is Q shows up and like Picard is like, you know, Q shows up, stuff happens on the Enterprise. Q shows up to DS9, starts pulling his shit, and Cisco straight decks him. And Q says, Picard never punched me. And Cisco says, I'm not Picard. And I felt like that was a very clear moment. It was very funny. He looks so dignified doing it. He would.
Get digged!
Patrick Stewart's great. Thank you, Deeps. I love the idea of ancient overgrown holes on the earth where the island once lifted up from. Ooh, that is really cool. Okay. So here's the thing, McNancy. Okay, all right, let's think about this. What if the thing that's making the island float isn't fully in the center island, okay? So like you have the center, the big center island, and everything's orbiting around that. What if the thing that's making the island float is one half is whatever's in the center of the big island and like connected to the orbiting islands, but the other half is actually the track that the island uses to go through the world. So like deep underground, there is something that runs a path through the world that the island is following, and it's the connection of the thing in the center island and that thing on the ground, and it's those two things together that is giving it its path and keeping it afloat. So now we have a thing that is taking up part of the world. Hell yeah, I love you. A mysterious hole in the ground. They're so great. They're so spooky. Holes in the ground, they're very spooky. With a floating island, it would be more widespread. Things would run faster on Earth. Oh, yeah. Well, because there would be like more wind and like the harsher environment. So yes, probably would. Oh, I like that. Are you thinking of mechanical contrivance, like a vein of ore with magnetic repulsion? Something like that. It could be either something natural, like a vein of a specific material, and it's just following that vein, and it goes through oceans and nations and mountains and whatever. Like, the path seems random, but it's just a line that looks like this because that's the way the vein goes. So my thought would be it could be a natural appearing thing, and it's just the interaction is making it do that thing. Or it could be something that was specifically placed to do it. The natural order ordered chaos of the island. The natural explains the ordered chaos of the islands. That's kind of what I'm thinking, Albino, too. Is like, if it's following a natural vein of some kind, and it's like two parts to a whole, then yeah, that like, oh, this is weird and we don't understand it, part makes sense because you're only looking at half of it. Currents of some sort flowing beneath the surface. Yes. That would be good. Like a weird, not Mako, but like something like that. I have a phone call that's a spam risk. We're just going to send it to voicemail. So yeah, some sort of current. And it may not be a physical item. Like, rather than being like a vein of a metal, like it could be something else that's pumping through the ground that is actually moving, or that has some sort of ethereal quality, or, you know, something like that. That would be a huge point of controversy, because they would have to debate moving the markers or not tampering with their fragile environment, and they would have to protect these markers from their enemies. Yeah. What if? Here's my thought. We know that the island is floating because of the two parts of the whole. They don't have to know that. They could be completely unaware. But it's something that, reading about it, you realize. Like, it's mentioned in the text, but the people in world do not know that. But now you have a hook of like, well, what if someone disrupts that vein? Maybe the industrialization data started mining the vein, causing chaotic deviations from the ancient pathways. That's what I was thinking too. I like where your head's at. Would the mining be damaging to the ability of islands to float, i.e. climate change analogy? We're taking these floating stones because they give us the power to float things. Why are our islands floating less? Yeah, it could absolutely, we could do something like that. Oh my gosh, excuse me. And vein is the unobtainium that fuels their industrial revolution. Yeah. Superconductors generate an eddy current that causes magnetic materials to levitate. Oh, I like it. Like some sort of crystal or minerals responding to magical or magnetic track around the world. Yes, Venturific. That can be one of the possible ways of this. Why didn't you answer my phone call? Penta, you gotta give me your number if I don't recognize the number. Although, if you called me, it probably would say spam risk, because we're not even in the same country. So, if it was like a local area code, it would just give me the number. But when it's like, I don't know about this, it just says spam risk. I really want to play this game. Well, this will be available, and you can have this and then you can put it in your game. Because the idea is that if you run a game, this is a place that you can plug into in your game. Or if you're joining a game as a player, and your GM's like, where's your character from? And you could be like, I want to be from some floating islands. Is that a thing that you have in your world? And they could be like, yeah, there are. It's like, okay. And then you have all this lore to kind of use for your character backstory. And if the GM doesn't have like a set lore for their floating island, you could give them this and be like, here's a cool thing of lore. Here's what I was thinking. If you read this, it's only 1 page. You'll know more about my character and get some like ideas of ways to plug in for adventures. So it's the idea. Superconductors, yeah. They found a couple of markers that haven't yet learned their purpose or influence. Yeah. And it could be that there's a like parts of the vein people are aware of, and it's like, oh, there's an ancient shrine here. Oh, there's you know every 6 years and 3 days something weird always happens at this exact location. Like, oh, there's a big hole in the ground that we think something just got freaking yoinked out of the earth. So there could be things that kind of land on that track throughout the world that seem unconnected, but are indeed maybe connected. The surface is undergoing an industrial revolution, says Albino. After the discovery of a new energy source, they have no idea that they are destabilizing a civilization above, but if they stop, their newly industrialized society will collapse. How they even solve a situation like that? Yeah. Okay, I had intended to start cleaning like an hour ago, so I gotta go do that. This was fun, as always. Enjoy the rest of the stream, y'all. Bye, Deebs. You take care. Thanks for coming along. I hope you enjoy cleaning. I hope it's a good time. But I like to imagine a half-buried ancient statue of some kind looking person that's monitoring. Oh, that's motioning in direction. Ooh, yeah. I love that. I love an old thing that's kind of like ominous and creepy. It's saved in your phone book under spam risk. Ah, shoot. It was you. Why did I make that joke? Oh, it's a supplement. Yeah, it's a supplement. Because I made... Hang on. It's the same vein as this. Plug, plug, plug. I make stuff. Where you have the one-page Lore Fantasy Folk. Oh, look, it's 70% off during the I quit my job, so here's a sale. So, like, for this, like, you want to learn about orcs? Look, it's 1 page about orcs. Their physicality. Why they so strong biologically. They're interesting biological facts. They're carnivores, so they're not like humans, where we have a mix of like, we can live off plant matter, but we generally have a mix of like meat and plant-based diet, where biologically orcs are carnivores. Like, they need overwhelming majority amount of food be meat. What's their life cycle like? Qualities, drawbacks. All focusing on the biological. It would be the same type of thing as this, but for locations. So, and then this has all these things in there. There you go. Plug, plug. So yeah, 1-page lore is my little like brand thing, and then this is going to be locations. But I need to find a better name than locations, because it's a terrible name. Jesse, this is your channel. You don't need to excuse yourself for plugging your own stuff. Yes, I do, Penta. It's called guilt. So I have to. Atlas? Ooh, Atlas is good. One-page places. One-page lore places. Plug, plug, plug. All right, well, here's your plug. Look, I'm having a sale. Also, another thing I sell is Grinderbin's Mobile Market of Ridiculous Magic Items. It's got over 120 items. Like this one. The Encouraging Bone Club. It's a mutated spiked bone club that verbally encourages you to try that thing you just thought of, for good or ill, whenever someone looks at it. Or maybe you want a hat that absorbs blood whenever you see something red. Never be bloody again. Dart throwing pipe. It's full of all sorts of very silly, bear trap. I love bear trap. Sweet smelling bear trap that summons a bear whenever it is safely deactivated. So you set up this bear trap. It goes off. You caught someone in a bear trap. They deactivate it. It summons a bear. It's a real win-win for traps. So it's just a book full of those things. Oh, and there's also a adventure for meeting Grinderbin, and Grinderbin giving or the party getting a quest from someone that would involve them meeting Grinderbin, and then also possibly buying stuff from Grinderbin, and then like having an adventure in an underwater castle. So that's the thing. Is there anything there that Grinderbin acquired from Adventures? Not yet. Yeah, in season 2 of Side Quest, the gloating swap moss armor that Grinderbin wears, the one that whenever someone misses an attack on you, it laughs at them. That's in the book. That's a thing from Jack was like, hey, we're going to do some item upgrades. What kind of item do you want? And I was like, there's an item from the book that I would like. And he was like, okay. So now I have armor that laughs at people when they miss me. And then I have the items that I gave the other players, the slightly psychic socks, the lanyard of knowing where you're, the lanyard of never losing your keys, and the Weeaboo friendship hoodie are all in here as well. Oh, the umbrella. Yeah, Kira. The foul language umbrella where you open and close it and quack and it makes things be afraid. That's in here too. So yeah, several items from this book, because this came out before Adventure is Nigh, actually are in Adventure is Nigh. I always assume at the best time. Meet Grinderbin in an underwater castle. Yeah, it's an adventure in an underwater castle. It's written by, I forget their name. I have it. Steffi. I paid Steffi to write an adventure, and they did a very good job. I love it. I think it's a really, really fun adventure. Is one of the items a cat? One of the items is a fake cat. It is a fake cat that purrs. And I forget what it does. It has a magical property. The bear trap is great. I know, I love the bear trap. Pretty much read all of Deebs' copy. That's how I picked what to have Grinderbin holding that picture I did. I love that picture, Rat Peach. I thought it was such a delightful picture. The cat was one of them, yeah. The cat does something I don't remember. I think it like comforts you when you're feeling nervous or something. I forget. Actually landed here. What's the name of the game? Hey! We're talking about TTRPGs in general. I'm just showing off a thing that I wrote and is now for sale. And is on sale because of the I quit my job, so here's a sale. Which is all a bunch of system agnostic, very low powered magic items. So you can give your players multiple magic items and it won't break the game. And then we're also talking about how to make floating islands and how to make them cool and interesting. Wonder if I could use some of these items for my vampire child to use against my party. Ha! Yeah, you could. There's actually a section in here. There's like jewelry and clothing, weapons and armor, items. So like like a smoking pipe that does a thing, or like bear trap, or like the hat. And then there's also a section that is these are just cursed. And so there's like several things. There's like a little section of just like, yeah, this is technically magical and like it is a sword, but like the magical effect is generally not good. It does do more damage because it's a magical sword, but like also it might light you on fire or something. I don't think any of them are that strong. They're all fairly low key. Put some cheese in a hat and summons rats. That'll be adorable. Makes me think of a hat of rats which popped up in Chester Red. Oh, that is a cool item. I like that. But yeah, Curry, you could absolutely get something for your vampire child. So that's what we're doing, Sir Locke. Sir Locke. You gotta tell me how to say your name. I am dyslexic, and those are all letters that do not fit together in my mind. If you can offer me that lanyard in real life, I would love to get my bank details. Yeah. Sometimes art is inspired by real life events. Like me wishing I had a thing that when I think about it would show me an item. I can attest that can absolutely summon me with cheese. Oh, yeah. You'd summon Rat Beach with cheese. Fair. Thinks about block of Stilton in the fridge. Can't promise it's a fast summon, though. You'll make it there eventually. Magical air tags? Pretty much, yeah, magical air tag. But the way Jack did it for Dabarella is the higher she makes the check, the more exact the air tag is. So, like, if you make a low check, it's like you get what plane of existence it's on if you roll, like, a 2. And then there's, like, you can know its general location by, like, a location. Like, it's in Seattle. Or, like it's further where, like, it's in the coffee shop. This coffee shop. And then I think the highest was you can scry it for a set amount of time. So it was really cool. It's a fun item. I just bought the bundle of books. Looks like some great reading, Jesse. Thank you. Thank you for buying it. There's other stuff that you don't have to buy as well. The bundle of books is the Grinderbins and One Page Lore, and then also my collection of short stories of Corrupted Kingdom. And then there's also all this other stuff that is just always free. I have a whole thing on like trick weapons inspired by like Bloodborne and stuff. It's totally safe to go alone. So like a whole list of encounters to happen when you're like, when you don't need combat encounters. Interactive backstory session the way I do session 0. Big book of status effects. A pub called Quest. Like a whole bunch of these tables and stuff. So like, yeah, there's a bunch of stuff on here that you could just have. I mean, you could pay for them if you want, but like, they're just there. I'm very proud of a pub called Quest. It was a fun thing me and some friends of mine online did. The joke being, you go to you go to a tavern, and then the players never interact with the one person who has a quest in the tavern. So we made a tavern, and literally every single person in the tavern has a name, a backstory, and a quest they can give the party. And there's 18 people in the tavern. So no matter who they talk to, you have where they are in the tavern, what they're doing there, what they look like, a little quirk that makes them different, and what their quest is for every single person in the tavern. Is a really fun one to do. What if they never talk to anyone? I guess that's how they beat our system then. I guess that's the answer. They just sit there drinking. Oh, hey, Monday. How you doing? Let's see. Here it is. It's good to see RPG Help Desk back. Gods, I'm hungover. The fiance's grandma passed away. Oh, I'm sorry, Monday night. Definitely one of those weights lifted things because she's in such a better place. Because she had dementia. Oh, I'm so sorry. That's hard to go through. My grandma had dementia. And yeah, that's a really hard thing to go through. Like, I'm glad she's in a better place now. So I hope you all do what you need to like, you know, grieve and emotionally you know, sit and move with that, like, because it's hard losing a grandparent. And thank you for saying glad it's back. That really appreciate that. This looks like a job for the dark brooding character who never talks and sits in the corner. Actually, that's one of the characters in it, is someone who's brooding in the corner. Very funny. Kirio says, yeah, I lost my grandma last year. Nobody's still over it. Yeah, it can be hard. Kirio also wishes you the best Monday. I don't know if you see that pop up on chat, but it's there now. Thanks, Kirio. Yeah, it can be hard. Like, I lost all my grandparents fairly early. Like, my last one, I think, died when I was like 11 or 12. So, like, it's like a thing I remember, but it was so long ago that, like, I know people that, like, still have their grandparents, and I'm like, wow. Penta, I really hope we get to eventually see the rest of season 3. Penta, me too. Me too. It's really up in the air. I am unfortunately waiting with everybody else to hear news. I mean, I'm in a position where I was there when it happened, so I remember what happens, but, like, it's a show. I want everyone else to know what happens. Like, me knowing about it is not nearly as much fun as everybody else getting to know about it. The only thing I know, I only got to know the sentient, or the sentient her for a little while, but she aggressively corrected people on my pronouns and kept giving me purses. She wasn't the nicest old old lady to, like, fat kids. Aw. But she wasn't a phobe, you know? Yeah. Like, that's the thing. People can be really good in one way, and then another way be like, all right, well, that's a little, you know, I wish that was also a little better. And that's a lot of how people are. But that's really sweet that she was very, very aggressively corrected people on your pronouns and gave you purses. That was my great-grandmother at 12. But great-grandma was the heart of the family. Oh, so seeing my family crushed hurts. Even complicated dynamics. Yeah. Wow, you great-grandma? Wow. Wow. just like Jesse. He's a really nice guy, but he eats baby platypuses. What are you going to do when you get that craving, though? I mean, come on. What are you going to do? Not eat a baby platypus? Where are you going to get that sweet mix of poisonous barbs, fur, and duckbill? What, you think we would buy 3 different foods and put them together to get the same feeling? Psh. That's silly. I'll just eat a baby platypus. Do you own Grinderbin? Yes. It's a weird legal thing, but yes, I can use Grinderbin for stuff. So, like, I want to do some other stuff too, but, like, this book is good. I can make more books. I can, like, do other stuff with them. There's some, like, fun legal gray areas. Which is one of the reasons people are in talks about season 3. And they come pre-stuffed with eggs. Yeah, that's 4 things, Fungus Finder. You got it. Like people in the Middle Ages stuff. 17 creatures into one. Yeah. Oh no, it's not a lion. It's a lion with a goat head on its back, and its tail is a snake. And the goat head chants enchanting magics, and it flies with bat wings. Oh wait, that's a manticore. Manticore is just like a lion with bat wings and a scorpion tail or something. Yeah, I hate those freaking I think they're terrible creature design. I love monster designs, and I look at old like medieval monsters like the manticore and like a chimera and that, and I am like, I hate this. This is the stupidest thing. There's no sense of like how this works or like anatomy, or like it's just literally a goat head stitched onto a lion. I hate it. Thanksgiving is gonna suck. Oh, I'm sorry. Usually I have a lot of family, but everyone oh, I usually hate a lot of family, but everyone of them needs a hug from me. Aw, well, you know, but that does mean they care about your hugs. I know sometimes it can be hard, like emotionally, to kind of have that much output. Especially depending on the relationship you have with your family, but hey, if they do want to be like close enough to you for that, like, I don't know, that is, I don't know, it's a tough spot to be in. I wish you the best in that, because yeah, sometimes it can be hard. Ellie says my grandma is the only one only one in my family who stuck with me after I came out. We both were black sheep of our family, and I still can't eat barbecue ribs because no one made them as good as she did. Aww. I'm glad she stuck with you. Also, yeah, barbecue ribs. There's probably some fantastic barbecue ribs. Hey, Josh. Thought so. Glad. Me too. That was a whole thing with contracts before we started the 3rd season of the show and stuff, so glad we went through that. Also, what was the inspiration for Grinderbin's voice? So if you go to here, there's a video. It's also on my YouTube page, but, you know. That was for the original Kickstarter for Grinderbin's Mobile Market Ridiculous Magic Item. It is actually, I got my brother-in-law to do a voice. I sent him the script, and I sent him, like, he's a actor. And he did, like, theater in college and stuff, and he's pretty fun and pretty cool and good at that. So I was like, hey, here's a character idea. Here's, like, a bunch of stuff on them. Can you do a voice for them? For this video that I need to do to sell this product? And he was like, absolutely. And he sent me like 15 different voices of reading the lines. And I picked one. And that's what made it. And they did the whole thing again. And that's what made it on the video. And then Grinderbin's voice in the show is my bad impression of the voice he did for Grinderbin in this video. So that's where the voice came from. He does it better than I do. But people listen to me do it. So only people who know the origin watch that. So that's the inspiration. It was straight up an impression of his voice of the character based on all of the text I gave him of the character. Dragon's Dogma 2. I'm so stoked for Dragon Dogma 2. I'm very excited for Riot or Golden Girl to make an appearance. That's my buff grandma from Dragon. I beat Dragon Age 1 as a absolutely jacked as hell grandmother. And I cannot wait to bring her back in Dragon Age 2. Chimeras are kind of cool in Dragon's Dogma. I agree. They are. That's the Chimera's peak in Dragon's Dogma. Oh no, I mean, people made a 17 animal version of a turducken. Wait, what? What's the 17 animal version of a turducken? I need to know. Chimeras are kind of cool. Okay, like Dragon's Dogma, yeah. On the bright side, I got a Deadpool and a Hitmonkey 2-pack from Amazon. Hitmonkey's a comic, right? About a monkey that also murders people. That's supposed to get here today, so that's exciting. Ooh, that is exciting. Just hypothetically, if someone were to lick Grinderbin, would they cause hallucinations? No. That's very funny. I love that idea, but no. I really like the idea of a Decaria, a mushroom person who is based on psychedelic mushrooms. And that has some sort of effect like that. But that's not what Grinderbin's based on. But I do think that would be a great character for a Decaria. You broke my heart when you abandoned your mage run and went to Strider. I'm sorry. I'm terrible at doing voices. It's a running gag that every 5th character in my campaign I DM sounds like Patrick Warburton / Kronk because it's a one voice I can slip in and out of really fast. That's fair. My partner tells me I have my D&D voice. She's like, oh yeah, that's your RPG voice, which is just that like, oh hey everybody, I'm here. Oh, I gotta make a real voice, so I just get kind of crusty down low and make it a little thing. Which is like, oh, I gotta, hey everybody, like you just gotta, and it's like, so I understand. It's very easy for me to slip into that voice. Or slip into like a Midwestern or a Southern accent. I feel you. I'm not good at voices either. The monkey sees the ghost of his owner, who was a assassin. Oh, that's kind of cool. I posted it in food. It's talked about in the tasting history. Longest Lies, does Guru just release spores all the time? Yeah, so my lore in one-page lore for Decaria is that Decaria regularly just produce spores. It just kind of spores happen. It's like shedding skin or hair. Like it's just like it's a thing you do. Those spores, when they land on like fertile material, like rotting meat or something like well fertilized soil, like something where they can grow, they'll start to grow, and then the spores of other Decaria will intermingle with them, and then that over time, all the spores from all these different Dikaria will like hit the same thing, and it'll grow into a little clutch of like, you know, maybe like 5 to 10 mushroom caps, and those will grow into Dikaria, and then they'll pop out, and when they pop out of the thing, like when they come off of it, that's when they're born. And they have a mix of genetic memories from the people who were who spores made them up. So they have a lot of different like parents, and they have specific memories from all of those parents of their lives. And so because Dikaria generally only live about 12 to 13 months, so like when they pop out, they have the ability to speak and like understand language and like have like a whole lot of information in their heads so that they don't spend their 1 year of life trying to figure out how to speak. Like Grinder babies? Yeah, so it'd be like, but it wouldn't just be Grinderbin. It would be like Grinderbin and the other, like, you know, 10, 20, 50 Dikaria spores that have, you know, intermingled in this one area. And then those would have some Grinderbin memories and some memories from someone else. Imagine having memories of two people who hate each other passionately. Oh, that'd be really funny. I like that idea. Argle Bargle, hey Larson. Well, if you want people who cause hallucinations when you lick them, stick with Drell from Mass Effect. Which ones are the Drell? Did you know that Esme, Emperor's New Groove, Esme, was voiced by the lady that sang Santa Baby? I did not know that. When I play by vampire, I do my darndest to mimic the kids I deal with. That's funny. I started listening to Fragged Empire campaign. Ooh, and the cast are currently on a continent of mushroom jungle. Ooh, they got a sapient translator mushroom in a plant pot. That's really funny. They're dealing with things like spores, which cause people to experience temporal dilation. Ooh, and start slowing down. And it's not treated in time. It could just get stuck in slow motion forever. That's freaking cool as heck. Discordia, I love that. Imagine one of those Dikaria suddenly waking up to the club. The reptilian who has showed up in Mass Effect 2. Reptilian that showed up in Mass Effect 2. I don't remember the reptilian that shows up in Mass Effect 2. Oh, Thane? Is Thane a lizard? I guess he's scaly. Eartha Kitt, also one of the best Catwomans. She's pretty great. Eartha Kitt is good. Thane, okay. Oh, it's 2 o'clock. I have to stop this. I gotta stop plugging my my stuff. I gotta stop writing about floating islands, and I have to leave. Yep, bye. What if I just ended it right there? It's just like, yep, bye. Oh, hey, Perspicacious. How are you? But if you do romance Thane into, this is very important, Mordin takes you aside to give you some sex ed, including telling you that licking Drell can cause hallucinations in our species. That's very funny. It also makes sense why I didn't know that, because I did not play the DLC of 2, so I've never actually interacted with Thane in any way. I do like an abrupt ending now and then. It keeps us on our toes, yeah. Thanks, Josh. Thanks, Monday. Thanks, Ellie. Thanks, Penta. Thanks, Circlock. Thanks, Venturific. Thanks, Larson. Thanks, Rat Beach. Thanks, Discordia. Thanks, Perspicacious. Thanks, Kuru. Hey, Lilawani. Thanks, Lilawani. Hi, Lilawani. I didn't say that when I read your Earthkit comment. Thanks, Deeps. Thanks, Three-Eyed Cyclops. Cheers, indeed. Dane was core content in 2? Hi, Cheshire. Thanks, Cheshire. I keep pitching the Battle of Jesse's to Nick. I love it. Love to do a Battle of Jesse's. It'd be great. All right, who's on? So I can bother them. Let's see. Kate is on. Scottish Geek is on. Kate. Space Valkyrie is on. And Pete's is on. I don't know. Where do you want to go? I always try to send to like, I always look to send to RPG stuff. And like, it's never in English. Oh, hey, Crawdad. Well, the stream is on the VOD on YouTube if you want to listen to it. We actually stayed on topic, to everyone's surprise, and talked about floating islands for like an hour and a half. So if you want to hear stuff about floating islands, boy howdy, did we talk about floating islands. Yeah, it was very on topic. It doesn't always happen. But it happened today, so hey. Ooh, okay, Space Valkyrie is doing something with NaNoWriMo. So since it's writing related, or should I go to Kate because she's doing Kingdom Hearts? I don't know where to go. Somebody help me. Somebody pick. Cheshire, would you do the art for the Battle of the Jessies? Can you make a sweet poster to get people hyped about it? I think it should be like a triathlon. Like we have to do for every Jessie. We have to do like a different event. So it's like there's a physical challenge, and there's like we gotta like rock climb, and then we gotta play Dead by Daylight, and then we gotta like run an obstacle course. It's like we take the average of all that. Alright, well, I'm gonna raid Space because they're doing writing stuff. And that's kind of what I was doing. So you know what? That's where we're going. I would absolutely do the art. Nice. I'm raiding all of Space. Yes, I'm going to the one place that hasn't been ruined by capitalism. Space! I love that clip. Tim Curry's a treasure. Space! He has a weird pause before it, too. It's like he takes a deep breath and then lets out like half of it and then sucks it back in to say space. It's so wild. I love it. All right. Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I really appreciate it. I hope you had a good day today. I hope you have a rest of your good day today. I hope you have good tomorrow days. It's like he's getting a hold of his own laughter. Yeah. There's a real sense of joy in it. I hope you have a good Thanksgiving, too. That's coming up. Have a good one. I hope I see you around Discord. I hope I see you around other places. And I hope just, hope you have a good time, whatever it is you're doing, whether I see you or not. Have a good time. Bye.